Hey, Jared, can you hear me? Jared Haley, can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's okay. No, since you made that. Oh, you're not even. Yeah.
Selling cars now.
Selling cars.
And they get 3 of them.
And,
They will. And what the intention of this.
yeah. Yes. Oh, we don't say.
Got a nice little couple of that.
I'd like to, call the meeting to order. Jared, will you do the?
Thank you. Mr. Kevin Beatty.
Present.
Honorable Scott Bates.
Here.
Honorable John Black.
Jared, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hey, I'm the Watterson Expressway ramp is closed, so they're diverting us towards 71 towards Louisville. Traffic's backed up to this side of Zorn Avenue, so probably once I get to Zorn Avenue, I'm going to turn around and go back to LaGrange. So I'll just stay with you all on Zoom, okay?
Well, thank you for joining us. Sorry about the confusion. We're gonna miss you at lunch today.
If Matt Bullock's down there, tell him get the ramp opened up for me, please.
Honorable Bernard Bowling. Here. Honorable Byron Chapman. Honorable Jack Kaufman.
Here.
Honorable Troy Ethington. I see you on the screen, Mayor. Honorable Jeff Gahan. Honorable Nicole George.
Present.
Mr. Keith Griffey.
Here.
Honorable Treva Hodges. Honorable Maria Johnson.
Here.
Honorable Dan Eisen. Honorable Mike Moore. Honorable John Ogburn. Here. Mr. Matt Mine for the Honorable Carol Pike. Honorable John Schnellenberger. Honorable Jerry Summers.
Here.
Honorable Jim Travis.
Here.
Honorable Scott Travis.
He's here.
Mark Burlington. And then the Honorable Joe Ender for the Honorable David Vogel. Let's see, here, Joe, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Jared. I'd like to welcome everyone to, St. Matthew's. Anytime you need a place to meet, this is available, so, glad everybody made it. Next item is the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look them over? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
You have a motion, and do I hear a second? I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the September financials. followed by the October financials.
We jump one or we need the others. No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're gonna start with the September financials. And we're looking at the summary of elements, which is on page 23. Everybody can? Yes. Good. Okay, so our CED total for expenses is 232,814. For 26.02% of our budget. The transportation is 931,313 for 16.53% of our budget. And then our social services total at the bottom is the 1,415,126 plus our aging program related, which is the 4,689,399 for a total of 6,104,525, and that's 22.5%. We have our other operating, which is also there for 4,949 at 6.25%. And then we've also included our local funds transfer program, which is the 126,461 for an overall KIPDA total of 7,400,062. So we have our agency-wide line item revenue and expenses report, and that's gonna be pages 24 through 28. On page 26, we have our current revenue at 2,498,075, and our year-to-date 7,397,870. 880 rounding for 21.92%. So then you can go to page 28, and our current is $2,469,112, and then your year to date is 7,400,062. And that's at 21.93%. So on page 29, we're looking at our balance sheet. And our total, the total of our cash is 2,221,905 at 11%. And then I counted all our receivables, and we have 3,562,930 at 18%. And then all of our other assets are 4,358,570 at 21%. And then of course, our total liability and project are 10,138,056 at 50%. So that is the end of our September. If you have any questions, and I'll go back to the.
Okay, we need approval to accept September financials. Got a motion, a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Now for October.
So for October, we were doing our graphs. So our summary of elements for October are up there on the graph, but I will still go through the numbers. So our spend for CED is 305,358 at 34.13%. And the budget is right there, 894,701. And then we have our expenses for transportation, which is 1,222,847 for 21.71%. We have our social services, which is the 1,819,298, plus our aging program related expenses of 6,442,828, for a total of 8,151,126, for 30.45%. We have our other operating at 8,851. And that is 11.18%. And then, of course, our local funds transfer program, which is 149,809, for an overall KIPDA total of 9,948,991 through September 30th of 2024. I'm sorry, that was on page 32. I didn't mention that. Page 30 would be our agency line item revenue and expenditures on pages 33 through 38. But I will be telling you about page 35, which is our current revenues of 2,583,282. And our year-to-date at 9,981,161, or 29.58%. And then as we go on to page 38, it's at the end where our expenses are, and our current expenses are 2,548,929. And our year-to-date is 9,948,991, or 29.48%. Page 39, we're looking at our balance sheet. And our cash for that is 2,937,441 at 14%. Our accounts receivable is 2,794,688 at 14%. And then our other assets are 4,358,570 at 22%. And then looking at our total liabilities and projects, it's 10,081,286 for 50%. And I'd like to request approval for the October. There are no questions.
Any questions about October? Your motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, number 7.
So I would like to introduce Gina Jones from LBMC. She's going to be presenting our fiscal year 24 draft of our audit.
All right, you should have two documents in front of you. One is a 3-page letter, and I'm gonna go through that real quick. It's just the required communication letter related to the audit to those that are charged with governance. So basically, it just says that we audited the financial statements of KIPDA for the year ended June 30, 2024. If there were any significant audit matters, those would be noted here in the second section. There were no new accounting policies adopted during the fiscal year. Any significant estimates during the year are disclosed here, and those are on page 2, and they're related to compensated absences, the net pension liability, the net OPEB liability, and then depreciation expense and capital assets. If we encountered any difficulties during the audit, we would be required to disclose those in this letter as well, and we are happy to report that we did not have any difficulties performing the audit and no difficulties with management. If we had any corrected or uncorrected misstatements, we would have those in this letter as well, and we did not have any of those. And if we had disagreements with management, we would be required to report that to you as well, and we did not have any disagreement with management. If management was to consult with any other independent accountants to get a second opinion on an accounting policy or pronouncement, they would be required to report that to us. And then we would report it to you as well. And I'm happy to report we're not aware of any of those items taking place. And if we had any audit findings or issues, we would be required to put those in this letter as well. And when we get to the report, you'll find that we did not have any audit findings. So that's that letter. So the bound document that you have is the audit report. If you flip past the table of contents, the first page through page 3, this is our independent auditor's report. I'm happy to report, this is an unmodified or clean opinion, the highest level of opinion that an organization can receive. So that's in the second paragraph of this report. Just talks about that the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects for the year ended June 30, 2024, in accordance with GAAP. So we're gonna flip to page 4. And this is management's discussion and analysis, and I'm not gonna go through this. This is basically management's analysis of the financial statements and the financial performance for 2024 compared to 2023. So there's financial highlights in here. There's a consolidated or condensed version of the financial statements presented. But this is actually required by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB as we refer to it. And like I said, it's a comparison to the prior year. And if there were any significant changes from 23 to 24, those would be presented in this as well, but no major significant changes for the year. So I'll let you guys read that at your leisure. It might put you to sleep, I don't know. So starting on page 9 and then on page 10, these are the government-wide financial statements. So these are on the accrual basis. So this also includes the capital assets, the pension and OPEB liabilities, and also the compensated absences, the long-term portion. I'm just going to highlight just a few numbers here. Cash at June 30, 2024 was actually at $167,000. And in the June 30, 2023, the cash was at 1.5 million. So it's up 100% from the prior year. Receivables are actually down about 880,000 from the prior year, which is about 20%. I went from 4.4 million to 3.5 million. And as you go down to the liabilities, the current liabilities actually went up from 3.4 million to 3.9 million, about 500,000. And then our non-current liabilities, which is the net pension liability and the OPEB liability, but you'll actually see that is in a bracket this year, so it's actually an asset. So based on the actuarial studies that were done, it's no longer a liability. It actually.
How you doing?
Hey.
How can I help you?
Somebody have a question? Okay. So that actually, it went from being a liability of almost 3 million for the OPEB to an asset of like 200,000. And if you want to see the details behind the pension and OPEB liabilities, that's a note H and note I, and that starts on page 20 and goes to page 29. And so your net position or deficit or equity, if this was a for-profit entity, is 9.2 million. And that is actually up about 900,000. It was a deficit of 10.2 million. So if we flip to page 10, this is the income statement. If this is a for-profit entity, or the statement of activities, and this is the full basis. So, total operating grants for the year were 30.3 million, and that's up about almost 2 million or 6% from the prior year. The prior year was 28.5 million. Expenses are up as well. They're 30 million for 2024 compared to 28.7 million in 2023. So that's up about 4.7%. And if you look down at the bottom, you'll see change in that position, or that's the income for the year, and that's at 985 million. And in 2023, it was 985,000, sorry. And it was 414,000 in 2023. So that's up about 571,000. Page 11. And going through page 14, these are the fund financial statements. So these are on modified cash basis. I'm not really going to go through these in detail. Just know that you break it down between what's your general fund, which is your normal operating activity, and then your special revenue funds. And this is where your state, local, and federal grant activity goes through. And then on page 15, this is where the footnotes start. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but basically it talks about the nature of the operations, any significant accounting policies, and then breaks down the various assets and liabilities in more detail that are on the statement of net position. And like I said, the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability details are in note H and I. If you want to flip to page 37, this is the schedule of expenditure of federal awards. So part of our audit is a single audit, which is the audit of all the federal dollars. We're required because the organization has spent more than 750,000 in federal dollars for the year that they're required to do an audit. The total federal dollars were almost 9.8 million, and you guys actually sent for almost $5 million out to sub-recipients during the year of those federal dollars. And this breaks down all the various programs that you get those federal dollars through. Starting on page 41 through 81. These are the schedule of all the different programs broken down, showing the revenue received and the expenses and the budget. We're not going to go through all of that. And then on pages 81 through the end of the report, these are just a couple additional reports that we were required to present. The first one on page 81 is our auditor's report on the internal control over financial reporting in accordance with government auditing standards. And then on page 83 is our report related to the major programs related to the federal dollars that are spent. And this is in accordance with the uniform guidance. And then on page 86, this is the schedule of findings and question costs. This basically says that we did not have any significant deficiencies or material weakness relating to the audit of financial statements, that we didn't have any findings related to the federal programs as well. And then on page 87, this breaks down, which programs we actually audited as part of the single audit. So we audited the aging cluster, which is, these three programs listed here on page 87, and as well as the medical assistant program. And as I said, we did not have any findings, so it's a clean audit. And there was no findings in the prior report. I'm happy to address any questions that anybody has. Otherwise, I'm done with my report.
Does anyone have any questions? I'm sure they will once they get into. in detail.
If somebody does have any questions, feel free to reach out to Frida and she will get with me as well.
Okay, thank you. Do we need to accept the, I need a motion to accept the audit. Have a motion, we have a second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay, next item, regional transportation. Next,
Morning. The KIPDA Regional Transportation Council meeting was held at 10 o'clock today. The first agenda item was the April 25th and August 22nd Regional Transportation Council meeting minutes. The next item was the public comment period. There were no public comments to the RTC. The committee next reviewed its goals and bylaws, and they voted unanimously to amend their bylaws to reduce the number of voting members present to constitute a quorum from 4 to 3. This change will help ensure that the committee can conduct essential business within narrow time windows, including shift sponsorships and boosting, which is a critical part of informing the state's highway plan. KIPDA staff gave a presentation on the Federal Highways Administration publication, Proven Safety Countermeasures in Rural Communities. Members provided a report of county transportation updates. In other business, the committee was notified of the passing of the new 2024 Coordinated Human Services Transportation Plan. The Interstate 64 interchange study for Eastern Jefferson and Western Shelby counties nears near conclusion. And the kickoff of the KYTC Wildlife Crossing Pilot Program, which is studying the I-64 and US 60 corridor between Louisville and Frankfurt. The next KIPDA Regional Transportation Council meeting is tentatively scheduled for February 27th at 1 p.m. at KIPDA offices. So in addition to action to approve this report, changes to the Regional Transportation Committee bylaws are also subject to review and approval by the KIPDA Board of Directors. If you have to take any questions.
does anyone have any questions? Okay, do we need to do that? Accept his report and then vote on the,
Yes, sir.
on the thing, so we'll have two votes. Okay, the first is to accept the report. I need a motion
So much.
and a second. We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Now, the second one is about reducing the
Number for.
number for a quorum from 4 to 3.
Correct.
Okay, any questions about that from anybody?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Mitch. Next item, Transportation Policy Committee. Andy?
Morning, everyone. Transportation Policy Committee met just a little bit ago, 9:30 a.m. in this room. I'll go over a few of the highlights from that meeting. Our guest speakers today was Deputy Mayor Nicole George and Jennifer Kern, the Louisville Metro Public Works Director. They talked to the committee about the recently formed Louisville Department of Transportation. So they're restructuring over there at Louisville Metro, the Louisville Department of Transportation that's going to give them some added flexibility and project management capabilities. So it's good to hear from them this morning. Brady Hill presented on our Indiana MPO dedicated funds. There's an issue with the project over in New Albany that is that's coming in tight in terms of being able to be completed this fiscal year. NDOT requires some of the final approvals by the end of next month to be able to meet a springtime construction letting. Effectively, what we did today was approve the backup plan. If that project cannot get all those things prepared in time for NDOT what will we do with our MPO dedicated funds? We put a backup plan in place with the TPC's approval this morning. Chris Nicholas, she presented the annual listing of obligated projects. That's something that we presented a couple months ago for our Indiana projects. This was Kentucky's and in the transit projects. She had some pretty good news to report in the fact that substantially, maybe what was it, Chris? Maybe like 80 to 100 extra $1 million were obligated this year, this fiscal year, or this year compared to last year. So that's good news. 2023's been our region. Brady also spoke about our call for projects. That's a big deal for us. That's an ongoing process. Those projects, for those applications were due at the end of October. Those determinations and in terms of which projects will get funded with our KIPDA dedicated funds. Remember, those are the federal funds that are under the KIPDA TTC's direct control. Get a pot of money from Indiana, 5 to 6 to 7 million a year, let's say. Kentucky, it's in the 20 to 25 million range. That's the money that's up for grabs, if you will, through this call. We received quite a few applications. We have quite a bit of oversubscribed situation. So in other words, we have about 3 to 1 on the Kentucky side. We got three times as many projects in terms of dollars than we have available. So the working group will be working in December to get that clarity, and then the TPC approval will be sought early next year. We awarded our KIPDA award, Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence. More on that in the next agenda item, or 2 agenda items from now. Greg, his annual outreach report. Greg showcased what our outreach for this year, and you'll get to see a little bit of that outreach in the form of a video there in a minute that I think you'll enjoy. And then last but not least was we talked a little bit about the KIPDA joining AMPO. That's coming up here next month. And then one more shout out I want to give to Felicia Harper and Dustin Duncan on our SEDS division here at KIPDA. We talked a little bit a couple months ago about the grant program of 2024. That's the Kentucky program that takes state dollars to match federal discretionary grants, right? There's federal discretionary grants, not just transportation, but otherwise. KIPDA, on behalf of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, recently put in a Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program grant, $30 million grant application to the feds. That was submitted within the past couple months. It was a 50-50, 50 federal, 50 non-federal. We applied for, Felicia and Duncan, and Dustin put in for the state match. And just last week, we found out that we were awarded that $13.4 million. So that's big money coming into our region. So fingers crossed that we will get that federal grant. That state money is ready to match that federal grant if it comes to fruition. We're hopeful to hear some good news. We're hearing news here in the next month or two. We hope. We don't know when the federal grant is yet. So that's real good news for our region. I'll be happy to answer any questions, but that concludes my report.
Anyone have any questions of Andy? Okay, motion to accept his report. Second. All in favor? Motion carries. Andy's up again.
Yes, sir. Also been bringing that up. I've seen it, so I'll stand over here. Many of you know KIPDA is a member of the organization known as NATO, National Association of Development Organizations. There's another outfit out there called AMPO, Association of MPOs. Very similar organizations, right? They're made up of the member organizations like KIPDA that focuses on regional government and regional governance, I guess I should say. Today I'm here to present to you guys a proposal that would envision KIPDA becoming a member of AMPO. Okay, so AMPO again is Association of MPOs. Again, it's much like NATO. It was developed in 1994, but it's strictly focused on the MPO issues. So the NATO focuses on a lot of rural development issues. This is something that the KIPDA MPO staff and the KIPDA MPO at local governments around the region, I think, can really benefit from. Some of it speaks for itself, joining a big organization like this, but some of the things we're really looking forward to is extending our knowledge exchange. Not just, we interact all the time with our friends from the Indiana MPOs, the other Kentucky MPOs. In Kentucky, there's just 3 large MPOs that have to do all the things that we do, Louisville's, Lexington's, and Cincinnati's. Expanding that knowledge exchange to nationwide is something that we're really looking forward to doing. With AMPO staff with some of their lobbying efforts as it comes to the next federal transportation legislation and authorization that's coming soon. Getting our voice out there. Tremendous amount of training opportunities I think it could provide us. They've got some MPO 101 courses so that, you know, our new staff, right, as you all know, we've lost a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge at KIPDA over the last decade, let's say, or less even. And so we're training new staff all the time, and this product and the products they provide will really assist us in getting those people started and getting going quicker than perhaps we're able to on our own. Another thing, they've got a job board, so we'll be posting jobs, so maybe we'll expand our reach in terms of the applicant pool. Here's some of the things they get involved with. They've got policy roadmaps, much like NATO does, much like some of those similar organizations do. The one on the right is something that they are focused on, and it's something that we're very focused on. The unobligated balances, that's as I've brought to you all many times into the TPC as well. In Kentucky, we've got a tremendous unobligated balance, close to $100 million. The AMPO is working with Congress through some of their efforts to simplify the flexibility. As you all know, we have very different flexibility rules in terms of our dedicated funds in Kentucky and Indiana. Some of the things that I think we'll get involved with them is keeping good track of all the funding opportunities. That's been something that has really, the game has really changed over the last 5 years, to say the least, in terms of funding opportunities, just like that grant program I was just mentioning, and keeping our finger on the pulse in Washington. So today's proposal, or a little bit about their due structure, how their dues work. They base it on the population of your urbanized area. KIPDA's urbanized area is right about 1 million, like 970 something thousand, I believe it was, with the 2020 census. And so their due structure is 0.7 of 1 cent per capita per year. So that makes the number about $7,400 per year for KIPDA. What I would like to propose today is that you all consider us joining this agency starting on January 1st. And so they prorate us for half of those annual dues starting on January 1st on a fiscal year basis. And the funds that we would use to pay for that would be purely the planning funds the federal planning funds that we have from Federal Highways and Federal Transit Administration, and paid for with some of the ample unallocated balance we have for this year. So it's not a huge amount in terms of our MPO budget is the point I'm trying to make here today. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. As MPO director, I'm very excited about this opportunity. I hope you guys might be as well.
And I'll just share the excitement. Andy and I met with the AMPO leadership a couple of weeks ago. I serve on the NATO board of directors, and we've long advocated to try to do reciprocal agreements between some of the national organizations, but as you can imagine, that's a lot more complicated. So that hasn't come to fruition yet. It's something I'll continue to advocate for, but many of the NATO members are also members of AMPO because it does offer such tremendous services. So I really encourage us moving forward with joining AMPO, because we are one of the few MPOs, especially of our size, that is not a member of AMPO. And in addition to all the services, it also will come at a reduced registration cost for staff to attend the conferences and early bird to the conferences. So there's some of those perks in addition to everything that Andy discussed earlier.
Now, is the obligation just for 1 year? 1 year at a time?
Yes, there is an annual membership.
Okay. I'll make a motion that KIPDA join the Association of Metropolitan Planning Organization for a year.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Any more questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, the next item is the KIPDA Awards. You're back up.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna kind of hand this one over to Greg. I mentioned Greg's outreach activities this past year. At the TPC meeting, we awarded our 10th annual Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award, otherwise known as the KIPDA Award. And Greg has put together a nice little video package that highlights the 3 finalists. And you'll find out here momentarily who we awarded the award to.
The 2024 KIPDA Award is special in its own right, but it also represents a decade's worth of projects that soared above the rest. So let's take a look at this year's nominations and award winner for the 2024 Kentucky, Indiana Transportation Excellence Award. Our first stop is into the heart of J-Town for the Waterston Trail Streetscape Improvements Phase 1. This project is a transformational endeavor for the city of J-Town, stretching through the heart of the city's downtown. Phase 1 focused on improving the pedestrian experience, enhancing safety, and preserving the historic character of the corridor. Spanning the city's commercial core, the project introduced a thoughtfully designed combination of concrete walkways and brick paver amenity zones, upgraded street lighting, and a robust tree planting scheme that balanced aesthetics with function. Now on to Old Henry. Originally intended to begin at the Gene Snyder and end at the Crestwood Bypass, this project decided to adapt in 2010. With the intent of delivering a better transportation solution for the area, a breakout project was formed that would end at Ash Avenue. This project boasts multi-use paths and center turn lanes to increase safety for all users. And finally, to this year's winner, the US 31 Bardstown Road reconfiguration with safety improvement projects. While a mouthful to say, this project delivers large in safety and functionality. This project is in the heart of the Highlands and redesigned the vehicle-centric road, which has been in place since the 50s, to be more conducive to pedestrians and local businesses, while enhancing the overall sense of place of the original Highlands neighborhood. Driving has been calmed thanks to bump outs, high visibility crosswalks, left turn bays, bus dedicated pull-offs, and pedestrian-led crosswalk signals. The changes have been embraced, increasing foot traffic and a calmer traffic environment.
So good job, Greg, for putting that video together. I think it was very well done. And I would like to recognize in front of the board of directors, that Louisville Metro and KYTC are 2024 Kite Award winners for the Bardstown Road Safety Improvements.
Thank you. Next item is the Regional Planning Council. Ryan?
Good morning, everybody. I have a quick update and report on the Regional Planning Council meeting. Regional Planning Council, or RPC, met on Tuesday, October 8th from 11 a.m. to noon at KIPDA offices and then via Zoom. We had two presentations for that meeting on the agenda. We heard a recap from the previous quarter's RPC meeting from Louisville Metro's planning office concerning recent ordinance updates for areas of Jefferson County within the Floyd's Fork watershed area. These ordinances are meant to promote responsible growth and development in areas in close proximity to sensitive riparian habitats. And Louisville Metro also cites these areas as important natural resources and major tourist attractions for the city. Secondly, we also heard a presentation on the 2014 Salt River Regional Wastewater Study from Paul Marin of Strand Associates Engineering. This plan was aimed at assessing the effectiveness and cost efficiency of wastewater regionalization options within the Salt River watershed area, which makes up a good portion of the KIPDA area region as well. It was recommended that the Planning Council hear the Regional Water Management Council's input on the plan, and if there were potential interest in conducting an updated plan to revisit wastewater regionalization options in light of the recent ordinance changes made in Louisville Metro. In addition to these two presentations, Regional Planning Council members also heard updates from KIPDA staff on ongoing grant-funded projects in the region. And as always, we also heard updates from our communities concerning planning efforts going on in each of our counties. The next Regional Planning Council meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 14th from 11 a.m. to noon. And that will be in person at KIPDA offices and hybrid as well. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has anything on Regional Planning Council.
Anyone have any questions? Yeah, I entertain a motion to accept the report. Got a motion, second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, regional water, Justin.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, board. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Regional Water Management Council, meeting was on, the 8th of October, and, we had Paul Marin, he basically gave an update, the same thing that Brian just gave you all, an update about what we covered in the Regional Planning Council. He did that for our Regional Water Management Council meeting as well. The council decided to, look at it again in January and maybe revisit that plan and see how we can, be of any benefit for that. We also had, new water and wastewater projects that were approved. There was 5 of those. In your all's agenda packet, there's 2 in here. They're actually the same. The city of Mount Washington decided to fund their Stringer Lane gravity sewer replacement project on their own, so that didn't need approval. We had the industrial park tank repainting project for West Shelby, LaGrange North wastewater treatment plant, which is a huge project in Oldham County. We're helping find them funding for. The State Streets gravity sewer replacement project in Mount Washington, the Highway 44 lift station consolidation project, and then the Spencer County Sanitation District wastewater treatment plant, which is another really big holistic project we have going on in Spencer County. So all those were approved in that meeting on the 8th of October, and they're all in your meeting packet. You can review those in further detail if you choose. KIPDA would help facilitate a lot of these. Like I said, the LaGrange, we're working with Scott Reese. It's a big project for Oldham County. A new wastewater treatment plant. It's always a big overhaul for any community. So we're really looking forward to helping them find some money and get that off the ground. Spencer County Sanitation District is another huge project for our region, working with the newly formalized district down there with Bill Jury, and Judge Travis has been a huge effort. Really want to recognize him and help him get that funding solidified and moving forward with that project for the Spencer County community as well. So those were all approved and were entered into the Water Resource Information System portal. Then we had the KIPDA fiscal year 2025 regional drinking and clean water project priority project rankings, which is always a big task for me. I go around and conduct our county water management council meetings with all of our regions, counties. And out of those meetings, we distill the priorities for all of our clean and drinking water infrastructure projects. That is included in your all's packet this morning as well. If you want to look at those were approved. There was one change to a project for Louisville MSD and Bullitt County that we updated. But other than that, all the projects were approved accordingly in that. So a lot of these projects will be going up for state revolving fund loan funding. Our Community Economic Development Division assists with SRF funding every year with that. Will be the deadline for that is in the middle of December. So we're actively working really hard on bolstering and improving those project profiles in the WRS portal as much as we possibly can. So then those will get invited for funding, hopefully. There's quite a few on here. The purpose of these project rankings is to prioritize the projects for every county. So the county knows what's important to them. And if any other future funding becomes available, they can do that. But also because for the SRF ranking process, when they get scored by the Division of Water, the higher the ranking for the county and the region, they score more points for that. So that's the huge purpose behind that as well. But we've really worked hard with all the leadership in each one of our counties. Want to give a recognition to all the judge executives. Done a very integral job of helping us to prioritize these projects, and we're very engaged and very informative this year and helping lead that process. So thank you for all the judge executives who did that. Our next meeting is in January the 14th from 1:30 to 2:30. That concludes my report. Have any questions? If you all
Any questions?
I have a question for Justin. On page 43, that should that be Trimble County since it's Bedford? That on page 43.
You don't have the packet, right? What does it say?
You are correct.
You're correct. That should have been the Bedford wastewater, Bedford septic receiving station project. He had the header incorrect.
Yeah.
Sanitation district.
Okay,
Good catch there, Chris.
thank you. I appreciate you working with us.
Of course, yes, sir. We got your third draw. I'm working with Bill this morning on your all's third draw for that too. I'll be processed next week by KIA.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the report.
Motion.
Have a motion and second.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you all.
Next item, approval of area development funds. Alicia?
Good afternoon. So this is approval of an area development fund with the funding from KIPDA left over that we kind of put that in the area development fund for our communities. This is for Henry County. They are seeking approval for an application for the Henry County 4-H building chair replacements. The ADF funds will be used to purchase 75 chairs and 1 2-wheel cart to be used for the fiscal court meeting at the new location. So the ADF funds that they are requesting is $4,629.77. So action is requested on that project.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, approval of MOA for EPA.
This is a approval for a memorandum of agreement for the Brownfield Coalition Assessment Grant that we received through KIPDA. We need to enter into an MOA with Shelby Main Street Foundation and the city of Shepherdsville as coalition partners on this grant. This is proposing to conduct brownfield assessments, and this is required, one of the requirements for the EPA funding, that we have to have 2 community partners out there. And Shelby Main Street and the city of Shepherdsville has agreed to be those partners. So this is just a memorandum of agreement that is required through EPA. So action is requested.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Motion carries.
With that, a reminder that we, I believe that most of the judges have received an email from Jennifer asking for who you all want to be, to serve on that committee. So if you have not replied to her on if you are going to serve or if you want to appoint someone to represent your county, please let Jennifer know so we can get some of those, meetings going and get some of this money spent for the Brownfields program. Thank you. So I am asking for approval for contracts for the KIPDA subdivision. We are going to administer these projects. We have 2 for the Cleaner Water Program. The first one is Shelbyville Municipal and Sewer Commission. This is for the Shelbyville 30-inch gravity sewer phase 2 in the amount of $9,600. We have one with Odom County Fiscal Court for Clovercroft, Ashbrook, and Confederate Estate Stormwater Project in the amount of $6,862. We have a state revolving loan fund that we will administer for the city of Shepherdsville. This is part of the Shepherdsville wastewater treatment improvement project. That's going to be in the amount of $50,000. And then also for the city of Shepherdsville, we have the EDA grant that we received. That's just for the wastewater treatment improvement project, and we are going to administer those funds for $35,000. And then the last contract is with Spencer County Fiscal Court. This is for the state earmark funding and over $10 million for the creation of the Spencer County Sanitation District and to develop a public sanitary sewer collection and treatment center. And we are going to administer those funds for $35,000. So action is requested for KIPDA to enter into those contracts.
Any questions? Motion? Second? All in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, please. Next item is approval of the CID's annual update. Ethan?
Thank you. I'm here to discuss the annual update to the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. We have to do a rewrite of the plan every 5 years with annual updates in between. This is an annual update. That primarily means that this year we were updating the data that's included in the SEDS. But there's been some other changes as well. We went to a new website. So the old website was KIPDASEDS.org and it was separate from our KIPDA.org website. We moved that all under the KIPDA.org website. You can still use the KIPDA SEDS
domain and will redirect you to the new website. But we primarily did this to kind of keep everything under the same umbrella, and just have all of the data easily accessible, through one website. There was also some minor language changes to goal 5 for quality of life. That was to include some partnerships from our social services division, that included Ford and Habitat for Humanity. There was also some minor language updates to goal 2 for workforce development, and that was provided by Kentuckiana Works. And some of those changes were to discuss economic conditions, declining online job postings, slowing of payroll employment, and some unemployment statistics as well. And then the bulk of our information, the bulk of our data is in the summary background, regional facts section, economic distress criteria, and the environmental justice section. All of that has been updated. Primarily, we use the ACS 5-year estimates for most of our data. We also use Bureau of Labor Statistics. So all of that's been updated. In the regional facts section, which might be on the screen, if you scroll down, there's different categories for, demographic data, labor force data, and all of that's available. If you ever want to see specific data points, let me know and we can add that in to include in any of these sections. But we have, inflow and outflow of workers for each county to show, how many are leaving the county to go to work versus how many are coming in, that sort of information. Those were new changes that we implemented this year. But I'm open to always changing this to kind of cater to whatever you want to see for your county. So just let me know if you have any suggestions. Those are the big changes, is moving to the new websites and changes in the regional facts section. And then the environmental justice section, we put this in last year, but we updated it this year to kind of match what these federal grants are asking for, just to kind of standardize the criteria. The big change was moving from census blocks back to census tracts. That was the main change, and just kind of to be consistent with what's being required at the federal level. So those are the big changes this year. A lot of it was just updating previous data. Action will be required. A resolution must be passed so we can submit it to the EDA, and that's due by December 1st. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, action is required.
Any questions? Motion to accept the report. Got a motion, a second. All in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Next item, ARPA funds deadline. Jennifer.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with an urgent reminder about ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act funding. If your county or city has not already spent your funds, 100% of your funds must be obligated by December 31 of this year. Obligated means a signed contract or purchase order. It is not enough to just budget, approve, appropriate, or earmark the funds. Funds that have not been obligated by December 31 must be returned to the U.S. Treasury. In terms of eligible expenditures, funds that are reported in the revenue or placed in a revenue loss category, which is most of the funds of the cities and counties represented here, can be spent on any government service with just a few exceptions. So please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. That's your ARPA reminder. No action is requested. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Next item, Division of Social Service Business. Tricia.
Good afternoon. There's a couple things to talk about today. First one is we're requesting a contract amendment for the KHBE subcontract to Somali Community of Louisville. This was a new thing that we were able to do this year. They've been working out in the community for just a couple of months and they've already seen the benefit and wanted to add another connector. So this would be an increase in the budget up to an additional $45,000, bringing the new contract total not to exceed $168,456. So it requests to, approve the executive director to sign a contract amendment.
Do we have to,
So if we can do the first one by itself, the second one by itself, and then the last three I can do together.
okay. So on the first one, do I hear a motion? Second. All in favor? Carries.
Thank you. And the next one is KIPDA. We are requesting for the board to approve to extend all of, the Department of Social Services contracts and to extend the procurement cycle by 1 year. We typically do procurement on a 3-year cycle for each of our programs. But due to the expiring of ARPA funds and the anticipated decrease in funding available, we would like to extend everything out 1 year to give us a little more time to plan for that decrease in funding. So we're requesting approval to extend the procurement cycle for a year.
Okay, do I hear a motion and a second? Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Fabulous, thank you all. And the next three items are all very similar. Essentially, Dale and the Department of Aging and Independent Living has done modifications to 3 of our FY25 contracts or contracts. One is to the contract for Medicare improvement for patients and providers, one for the nutrition services incentive program, and one for our Title III contract. All of these were to add funding to the contracts. And we're just asking to ratify the executive director's signature on those items.
Okay, any questions about the last 3 items?
I'll make a motion to approve.
In a second, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're up again for number 20.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is 2 different things that need to be taken separately. So the first one is to ratify the executive director's signature on memorandums of understanding with several new agencies that we entered agreements to provide financial management services. Those are Allied Health, Buena Vida, Adult, and Steps Ahead Case Management. So we're asking to have the signature ratified, please.
Okay, do I hear a motion? In a second? All in favor? Motion carried.
And kind of to follow that, all of those initial MOUs that we did were just to kind of get the program started and get us through December 31st while we kind of found our way through providing this new service to these new case management agencies around the state. It's getting a slow start, but it's going, and we will be meeting with them starting next week to discuss new MOUs effective January 1st through the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. So we would like to request approval for to enter into the MOUs with these, I think it's 10 agencies that are listed here, which are all people who we're currently in agreement with.
Does anyone have any questions? Need a motion? In a second? Have those, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you all very much.
Next item, social services. 24 overview, Jessica.
Afternoon, everybody. Everybody still with us? Everybody ready to eat? I know. I'll be brief because a lot of these programs I'm getting ready to talk about that we've come across and entered into this year have already been discussed today. So, first and foremost, I'd like to talk about Capstone and our KIPDA app. So we attended, Beth, myself, Andy, Jarrett attended U of L Engineering School's Capstone event, last week. They won second place for the KIPDA app this time. We have now in there a schedule of events and a referral form. So this whole thing is gonna be a one-stop shop for how to get a hold of KIPDA Social Services. We're very excited about it. We have one semester left, hoping to launch in the summer of 2025. Get my years mixed up with all the fiscal stuff going on, right? If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. I'm hoping to present it to you in January, so you got an idea of what it looks like now. And then do a soft launch after that. We're gonna soft launch it with you all first before we release it to the general public, so you guys will have firsthand dibs in there, to play around with the app, see what it does for everyone. We've talked about Ford before, so we did receive a Ford grant. Through December and into January, we're going to start trying to, work with rural farmers and associations to start building those Ford Foundation boxes they approved to get proteins and fresh vegetables out to our home delivered meals clients. By the way, we are now serving almost 1,300 home delivered meal clients. By the number of referrals that we have coming in, we expect that to be around 1,500 by the end of February. We asked for and received, another $450,000 to our C2 program. We have a little ways to go to get, some more additional funds, but they're awarding it in cycles. So, we are hiring 2 more nutrition assessors just to manage the incoming referrals, if that tells you anything, for home delivered meals. We just launched Age Friendly Part 2, so the second round of Age Friendly Louisville with, its partnership with AARP, Louisville Metro Government. The 3 things that we're focused on right now is, outdoor spaces and enhancements. I'm part of that group. We're working on housing initiatives to make sure that housing, developers are aware of how to build a house so that you can live in it your entire life. As y'all can imagine, that means wider doorways, walkways, et cetera. And social inclusion, making sure that people, are included in each event, activity, and getting contact with other people outside of their homes. So it was a great launch party, very well attended. It's doing really well. Happy about it. We are engaging more caregivers and grandparents than we ever have before in our programs. We've actually asked for additional money in our Grandparents Raising Grandchildren award. Tricia, how much was it? We need about 40,000 more?
Actually, I said 75,000.
75, we went up from there last time I looked at it, so we're asking for about 75,000 more state dollars to help support our Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program, so. We've engaged veterans directed home and community-based services. We currently have 3 clients looking for more referrals from the VA, so thinking that partnership. We've also done that in the caregiver program, made a great connection with the VA caregiver coordinator there. He's referring on a regular basis to our caregiver program, so very happy about that. We've also done more presentations with our discharge planners around. So Norton and U of L so far, working with our discharge planners to assure that we have referrals back and forth with services. We talked about FMS, so I won't dig into that. We do have, one other thing, our WEP program, which is Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program. So we are hosting under a grant for WEP, a supervisor for the Flourish Care Center of Excellence. So we're becoming a Flourish Care Center of Excellence, together with U of L, U of L partnership. That particular, project is going to assure that not only hospitals, but primary care providers and community organizations are working together to streamline when somebody comes out of the hospital or goes back into the hospital, and in general, so that people know about our services. That is a huge project, a huge welcome project to our desk, because it means that we will be able to serve this community together better. I had too much coffee this morning. How y'all doing? Anyway, that's a synopsis of new things in the social services division this year. Happy to answer any questions or talk about other things if y'all like.
I have a few questions, or a question. I had a resident call and ask about, and basically just curious, is there a new program for folks either 50 or 55 that still live at home, that have limited mobility or health, related?
Are they needing minor home adaptations? Because that might be our capable program that we're calling about, but we have services for all individuals 60 and over.
Okay, but she said 55, because she fits in that category.
Yeah, most of our services are 60 and older through the Older Americans Act. The one service that we do have that is for individuals who are 55 would be our Medicaid waiver program, which we can do an application for.
All right, she acted like it was something new, so is that something new?
Not that I'm aware of, it starts
Okay.
out at 55.
All right, thank you.
But if you send her my information, I'll be happy to call her.
Yeah, well, I'll get back with her. She and I graduated high school together, so.
Yeah, just ask her if you could send her information to me. I'd be happy to talk to her about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, thanks.
yeah. Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you, Jessica.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Next item is, personnel report. Megan?
So we have a couple of new hires since our last board meeting. Tricia Moore was hired as a nutrition specialist in September, and Carla Anderson was hired in our ADRC in October. Leanne Shawcross, one of our service advisors, has transitioned from full-time to part-time. That happened on Halloween. We've got a handful of vacancies, a Michelle P. Waver case manager, which I think we're about to fill. 2 nutrition assessors, as Jessica just mentioned. A registered nurse, PRN, and an occupational therapist, PRN, and I think we're on the verge of filling those too. Any job postings can be found online at our website, and our staff count is 78 full-time permanent, 5 part-time permanent, and 2 part-time temporary. Action is requested, please.
Any questions of Megan? Motion to accept the report. In a second, all in favor? Man, I think you're up again.
Yes, so every year we do a KIPDA staff longevity recognition kind of report. So I just want to run through and give these colleagues some recognition on their longevity. Randy Simon has been a transportation planner. He's been at KIPDA 39 years. Carla Alvis as a case manager, 34 years. Jennifer Wall, network administrator, 25 years. Aaron Jones, GIS specialist, 23. Zach Herzog, GIS department manager, 23. Paul Sangali, computer specialist, 21. Gina Kane, transportation administrative technician, 20 years. Jarrett Haley, executive director, 19. Susan Travis, administrative assistant in social services, 19. Veselina Romanov, social services planner, 18 years. J.R. Chisholm, database technician, 18 years. Andy Rush, director of transportation, 18 years. Lisa McDonald, ADRC specialist, 17 years. Lisa Russ, fiscal officer, 16 years, and Christy Cook, case manager, 16 years.
Next item is the nominating committee. Kevin?
So the nominating committee is putting forth the following officers for the positions for 2025. Chairman would be Jack Kaufman, Clark County Board of Commissioners. Vice Chairman, Jerry Summers, Bullitt County Judge Executive. Secretary Treasurer, John Ogburn, Trumbull County Judge Executive. And our current chairman would move into the past chairman position. That would be Bernie Bowling, St. Matthews City Council. So at this time, I would entertain a motion and a second to accept that slate of officers.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jack. Or condolences.
Next item, bank resolution. Rita?
Yes, we will be making changes to our authorized signers that will be effective January 1 of 2025. And the names of our added authorized signers are Bernard Bowling, Jack Kaufman Senior, Larry Summers, and John Ogburn Jr. Names being removed is Dan Hudson. Also wanted to say that the staff that can stop payment on checks is going to continue to be Jenny Lee, Alicia Russ, and myself.
I'll make a motion for approval of those changes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, the executive director's actions.
Thank you. This is our typical item in November with KIPDA not having a board of directors meeting in December. just asking for authorization to conduct, regular business and then bring it back for application in January. If there is anything out of our ordinary, I would convene an executive committee. So again, just sign our typical, business items, and then bring it back for application in January if necessary.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jerry. Next is the executive director's report.
I want to recognize Judge Ison and Mayor Pike, who both came in after we did the roll call. Thank you all for being here today. And also James Vickery with Congressman Guthrie is here. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, just briefly, so, this way, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Executive Director, thank you so much again for all you guys do. Bernie, this will be the last time I'll come this close to that mall until after Christmas, so this is the latest I'll do this. So, as you, many of you may know, Congressman Guthrie is, up in a race right now for Energy and Commerce Chair within the House. It's one of the big three chairmanships, so he should find out about that. Here within, the next couple of weeks is when they're expecting, that steering committee election. So he just wanted to express all you guys, so many of you are currently members of the second congressional district or have previously been, the support that you guys have given him throughout the years has enabled him to do the work in the House, has put him in a position to really attain this very special position, and he hopes that it bears a lot of fruit for the folks here in Kentucky. So it looks like there will be a continuing resolution that will go through March. And that's when we'll actually do the next full budget and hopefully get out of the CR cycle at that point. Mr. Che, our Economic Development Director, wanted me to express to you guys today that we are going forward as if all rules from last year for appropriation will apply for this year. That's significant to you guys because we really want to start having substantive conversations at the beginning of the year as far as projects that you all want to move forward with and be considered on that. As a member of KIPDA, we strongly encourage you to work with the KIPDA staff to prioritize some of those, and we can get the strongest packets in possible to hopefully go forward with more appropriation projects. So any questions that you guys may have for me, happy Thanksgiving. Congratulations on all the work that you guys did. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Councilmember Bowling as well as, I think I saw Mayor Tanini come in. Thank you all for hosting us this year. We appreciate you all letting us use this facility. And also, as we conclude our meetings for 2024, I want to recognize our board chair, Councilmember Bowling. He has been very wonderful to work with, attending the meetings and always available to pick up the call. So thank you for your commitment to the agency. We do have one travel item for approval. Secretary Knoll with the Cabinet for Economic Development is convening a statewide workforce and talent team to meet next week in Lexington. So this would be one travel item on December 4th to December 5th for me to attend that workforce and talent team meeting. Action is requested for that travel item.
I make a motion to approve the travel item.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries.
And then with no meetings in December, we will get back to the regular slate in January. So the Regional Planning Council will meet at KIPDA on January 14th at 11 a.m. That afternoon, the Regional Water Management Council will meet at 1:30. On January 10th, the Transportation Technical Coordinating Committee will meet at 1 o'clock. And then on January 25th, the Regional Transportation Council will meet at 1. The Transportation Policy Committee will meet that day at 12:30, and the January KIPDA Board of Directors meeting will be that afternoon at 2 o'clock. And this convenes or concludes my report. We do have lunch next door, so after we adjourn, I hope everybody will move next door and join us for lunch. Thank you all for being here today, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Any other business come before the board? I'll address the motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?